Chapter on edgy color and tone. Chapter 6. If you have access to exercise files, navigate to that folder, and we're going to be working on the image jkim_beauty. Another photograph provided to us by Jenny Kim. Thanks, Jenny. Let's go ahead and open up that file. And what we want to do, though, with this image is not focus on retouching, but focus on color and tone. And I want to share with you a really cool technique for creating some really interesting color and tone. So we have a background layer, and what we're going to do is copy that, Command or Control J, and we will double-click the name there and call this black and white. We're simply going to desaturate this layer. Command U, desaturate. Click OK. Next, we need to create another layer. Also, as a side note, there's a folder titled Reference and Experimentation. There you'll see a bunch of different layers with some of the techniques we'll be doing. So you have those for your reference later if you want to dig into that folder. Back to what we're doing here, though. We're going to click in a background layer, press Command or Control J to create a new layer, and we'll call this Soft Light. Now, what I need to do is move this layer on top of my black and white layer. Of course, what I can do is click and drag this up there, but I don't want to do that. I want to use a shortcut. So let me minimize all of these other guys here so we can focus on our layers. The shortcut, this is an awesome shortcut, is going to be Command bracket key. Command bracket key relocates layers. Right bracket is up, left bracket is down. Option bracket key or Alt bracket key is to select different layers. And Command or Control bracket key is to move layers. So we moved the layer to the top of the stack. Next thing that we need to do is take this to a blend mode of soft light. So we're going to go ahead and jump down to soft light. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. It gives us this really interesting bleached out effect. Now different images will respond to this technique in different ways. Let's Option or Alt click our eye icon. Here you can see we have this really interesting bleached out effect. Let's go ahead and click on our black and white layer, and then above that create a curves adjustment layer. And what I want to do is just bring down my whites a little bit so I have a little bit more detail there. My before and after. Click OK. Click my top layer, and I'm going to create a color balance layer. And this layer is going to be way too strong at first, but hang on. Click OK. And then we're going to take this to a blend mode of soft light. I know that's too much there, at least for me, so I'm going to pull it back. I just want to bring a little bit of contrast and warmth back to the image, but still have this interesting kind of bleached out look. Let's Option or Alt click our eye icon to look at the before and after. It has this really interesting muted bleached look to it. Now there's only one more thing that I want to do with this image. Click on my background layer, Command J, and then Command or Control right bracket to move this to the top of the stack. Take this to a blend mode of overlay. So I'm adding more overlay blending on this one. So there I have this just huge amount of contrast and everything going there. Next I'm going to Option or Alt click the mask icon to fill a mask with black. And with a brush, going to hit a few areas on this image. I'm just bringing in some of this color. And then I'm going to lower the opacity way down. And have a little bit of that brightness and color in the hair. Alright, hey, that's cool. Now let's Option or Alt click our background layer. Here's our before and after. Hey, that's pretty cool. Hit the Tab key. F to go to full screen view mode. Zoom in on the image a little bit. And press F7, brings back our layers palette. Look at our before and after. Really interesting bleached and muted contrasty effect. We'll be working on the file coorg_thoughts.psd. Go double click that file. F to go to full screen view mode in Photoshop. Spacebar to reposition the image. You know, I like this image that I captured because it's kind of contemplative. And what I want to do is add a little bit of interesting color and tone. So we're going to start off with the same technique that we used last time and then modify it a little bit and see how that technique will work in this case with product shots. So first thing we're going to do is press Command J 2 times, because now we know we're going to need 3 layers. The middle layer in this sandwich is going to be a black and white layer. The top layer is going to be a layer on a blend mode. Now there are a number of different blend modes that we can try. Typically overlay and soft light work really well. Some images, color burn or color dodge will work well. We're going to use a blend mode there. So we're going to go down to our black and white layer, Command U, and desaturate. Some of you are thinking, well, there are a ton of ways to convert an image to black and white, and that's true. And what you can do is come up with some really creative combinations by doing that. Yet even just the simple pull out the color will give you some pretty interesting results. Then we'll click on our top blend mode, and we'll go to a blend mode of soft light. And here we have this muted effect. And let's zoom in so we can see it. It just mutes all the colors out. Everything looks a little bleached. I dig that. I think that's looking cool. Of course, we haven't completed the image yet for this step. It's kind of interesting. So here's our before and after, even more contemplative in my mind. Next step is going to be to click on our adjustment layer icon, go to color balance. What we're going to do here is in our highlights add a little bit of yellow, and then in our midtones add a lot of red and yellow. And you know where we're going with this one. We're going to take this to a blend mode of soft light. Here's our final blend mode there. Let's take a look at how we're doing. Here's our before and after for that layer. Let's look at the before and after for the entire image. Here's before and here's after. So we've arrived at this place where the image feels old, it feels authentic, it feels deep, and it added something. I'm going to lower my opacity here just a little bit, that we couldn't have accomplished had we not gone through this bleaching effect and then apply these different color tones. And I'm just clicking through my image to kind of see where we're going. One of the things you can do, of course, is let's say we want to bring a little bit of the color back, because the color is pretty muted. So what I could do is my black and white layer, lower the opacity on that. We're going to see the color just start to come back. My color balance layer, I can lower that. And I think that combination is the one that I dig. Let's press Tab and F to go to full screen view mode. F7 to bring back our layers palette. Our before and after. Very cool. Definitely adds a little bit of an edge to it. And as long as we're here, hey, let's have a little bit of fun with this image. Grab my type tool. I'm going to type out. Chris Orwig Photography. And that font actually looks pretty interesting, so I'm going to keep it on that font, whatever that is, Lucidia Blackletter. And here's my type that I added. Press Command T, and what I'm going to do is add this to the book here, just for the fun of it. Sometimes, you know, it's worth experimenting a little bit. And take the size down. And then press Return to apply that. And it looks like I need to add a little bit more here. Add a tilde in there. And take it to a blend mode of soft light so it's blended into that background a little bit. Command J will give me twice the intensity of that, so it brings out some of the detail a little bit. And that looks cool. Next thing I'm going to do, new layer, blend mode of soft light. And this layer, what I'm going to do is grab a brush. I'm just going to burn in some spots on the book here. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to have it look like it's kind of integrated into the book. Create a mask on this layer and fill the mask with black, and then with a white paintbrush paint back in some of that burning and dodging. Make sure my opacity's up on my brush. And I masked off my burn and dodging just so I could really target it in. So I made a few rough burn and dodge, and then now I can bring it back in. And of course I can lower it, or I can intensify it by going to soft light. That's going to make it a little bit more snappy. And you know, it may be worth trying out this text in white. See how that looks. I can do a blend mode of normal. You know what? That doesn't look very good. So let's go back to black. And all we're doing here is just having some fun, adding a little detail. Sometimes it's fun in your images to embed something that no one else would really know is there. But if you look really close, you know it's there. It's especially fun when those images are published and there's this super faded, subtle Chris Orwig photography embedded in the image. And it just makes me smile. I don't know if it makes anyone else smile, but it's fun to do. Well, that wraps up this image. Let's take a look at it in its final state. Tab and then F to go to full screen view mode. Pretty cool. On edgy color and tone in this movie, we'll be working on the file corwig_bdas.psd. Go ahead and open that one up in Photoshop. So worked on one in the studio. We worked on some still life stuff, and now we have one with available light. What we want to do with this, add a little bit of punch to the image. And we know where to start with this, right? Command J a couple times. That's going to give us a few layers. The middle layer, sandwiched between these two, is going to be our black and white one. Top layer is going to be one on a blend mode. And this will at least get us started. For the middle layer, there are some different ways we can convert to black and white, as we've talked about. Click on your adjustment layer icon. We can choose black and white here. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Turn off my top layer so I can actually see what's happening. And reopen the black and white conversion. Here you can see we have a number of different options. One thing's important to keep in mind is that we can modify this later. I'm going to go for green filter. I like that. Click OK. Now, I want this to only be applied to the underlying layer, so I'm going to hold down the Option-Alt key, create a layer clipping mask. So now that black and white conversion is only applied to this layer. Next, on the layer above, we're going to take that to one of our handy-dandy blend modes of overlay or soft light. Depends on the intensity that we're going for. I think soft light looks kind of good. Let's Option-Alt pick our background layer. Here's our before and after. Now, if we want to modify our black and white conversion, we can do that further by double-clicking this icon, and even choose from the drop-down menu some different black and white conversions, and you'll notice that it will change the image drastically. And we'll just travel around a couple of these, see what looks interesting. Man, those two, it's just amazing how different that is. I think the green filter looks pretty cool on this image, so I'm just going to leave it on green. Zoom out a little bit so I can see what's happening. So I can see I have this nice kind of muted, contrasty effect. It looks a little bit more like a rock star, and it makes the alley feel a little bit more, has a little bit more life to it. Next thing that I want to do is I want to deal with this purple. I want to pull some of the purple out of the background. I'm not liking that as much. So go to my background layer, Command J, and then I'll drag this to the top of the stack. And I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Replace Color. Click on the background purple over there. Increase my fuzziness so I can really focus in on that. I'm just going to pull some of the color out of that. So I'm going to desaturate here. Actually, let's shift the hue to see what I actually am working on. Looks like I need to add to my section. I'll get my eyedropper with the plus sign so I can get a good amount of that. And then I'm going to desaturate. Click OK. Next, take the blend mode to color. And create a mask by Option-Alt clicking the mask icon. Grab your brush. I'm going to paint with white here. Right bracket key to get a bigger brush size. And then let's lower the opacity. You have all the color out of the background, but it might be nice to have some of it out. Let's look at our before and after that. Just mutes things down a little bit. Alright, let's add some color to this image. We'll go to our adjustment layer icon and choose color balance. What we're going to do here is simply add some yellow red to the image. Give it a little bit of a glow here. I'm just swinging these one way and the other, kind of get a feel for some different options we have with this image. And let's look at our before and after, that final color adjustment, and let's lower the opacity on that. We don't need to go necessarily that far. Last thing I'd want to do would be some burning and dodging on this bad boy. And I'm going to do that by creating a new layer, Shift-Command-N, and we'll take our blend mode to soft lights. Call this one burn. Burn, baby, burn. Alright, then we're going to start hitting it. And we're going to look to build some drama here. Change our brush size up a little bit. Just hitting this thing. Let's look at our before and after there. Lower the opacity. Before and after. Zoom in a little bit so we can actually see what we're working on. Tab F to go to full screen view mode.
Push the image off to the side. Brendan definitely looks like a rock star now. Before and after, just checking it out. Hey, that looks pretty good, and that wraps up this movie.